In this video, we are going to find the flight occupancy and wait list analysis. Hello, I am Jagan from Grow with Data. I am posting this video to share my knowledge in SQL with you. If this assists you in interview preparation anyways, I will be happy. Let's see the data set and you can talk about the question in detail. So we are given the table flights which has a flight ID and capacity, and then another table of passengers which has passenger ID, flight ID and booking time. Let's create the table. Okay. In our previous video on track the status of flight ticket, where we used the same data set and found the status of the flight ticket if it's confirmed on the wait list. This question is also using the same data set, but we are going to find the report from the flight capacity perspective. Here in this data, the flight 1, the capacity is 2. But when you see the passengers, there are 3 passengers who booked the tickets. So the book count is 2 and the wait list is 1. We see the flight 2, it has a capacity of 2 and 2 passengers booked the ticket. So the book count is 2 and there is no waiting list. And for the flight 3, we have capacity of 1 and we have 2 passengers who booked the ticket. That means the book count is 1 and the wait list is 1. So the expected output is going to be like this. So flight 1, book count is 2 and the wait list is 1. Same for 2 and 3, we have the book count and the wait list. Let's see how to do this. On seeing this question in the data set, first I thought of creating a CTE table and find the flight ID and number of passengers booked on that flight based on the passengers table, and use that with the flight table and you compare the conditions and bring in which is the book count, which is the wait list count. That's what the first thing came into our mind. Let's go for that approach. Okay, let's comment out the data. Okay, so the first thing is, let's create the first data set using the passengers table, where we say the flight ID, count of passenger ID as total bookings from this table, since aggregation, group by 1. So if you run this, we have the flights and how many tickets has been booked based on the passenger count. Okay, so we use this as our CTE table, booking data as this, and then we use the flights table. Yeah, left join this booking data B on both the tables are connected with flight ID equal to f dot flight ID. Okay, so we connect these two tables. Now what we are looking for, the flight ID IG, and then we have to get the as book count, and then we have to get the wait list count, right? This two is what we are going to look for. So what is the book count one? We just say case when the capacity of the flight is greater than or equal to the total booking, right? So if the capacity is 3 and the booking is 2, that means the booking count is going to be the B dot booking count, right? So when there will be a trouble, when the flight capacity is less than the booking. The flight capacity is 3 but the booking is 5, that means it's overbooked, right? So at that time we just say f dot capacity is what the booking count is. The rest is going to be the waiting list. Okay. end. So this case statement will get you which is going to be the booking count. If the capacity is more than the booking, that means it's always the booking is going to be the book count. But the capacity is less than the booking, the extra is going to be in the waiting list. So use the capacity as the book count. Okay. Here, the same way, when you talk about with the wait list, we are going to use the same logic. When the capacity is greater than or equal to this, then there is no waiting list, right? So everything will be booked. But when the capacity is less than that one, then we just say how many is booked minus the capacity is going to be the wait list, right? It's simple calculation. So there's no aggregation part, so there's no need for a group by. You can just say order by the flight ID, so it looks better. So now if you see the flight 1, the booked is 2 and the wait list is 1. So flight 2 there is no wait list. For flight 3 booked and the wait list are 1 and 1. Awesome. But just to note, whenever you do a calculation and if you are using the left join tables column, like b dot total booking is from the left join table, there are chances that this can be a null value, right? Because it's a left join, it can or cannot have data. So we always go with coalesce function to avoid any null values if it is a numerical value. Okay, coalesce n comma 0. So whenever you are trying with any numerical values like the amount or the count, so better you have extra cautious that it should not carry the null value, just at least come with the 0, right? So in this case it's not. I can show a sample data at the end to see what happens if you use the coalesce function. Like if there is a booking which is not there in the flights table, right, then it's going to be a null value. Or if there is a flight number, there is no booking, again it's going to be a null value, right? Okay, so this gives the exact answer, right? 123 221 101. So all are good. But is CTE function the right or the only option to address this question? No. Let's see if we can do the same aggregation. We do the aggregation here and then we are connecting with the flights table, right? Can we do that directly with the flights table and the passenger table? Let's see. So flights based on passengers. Okay, so whatever the aggregation we did and the calculation, we are going to do in a straightforward SQL. So what we are going to do is select f dot flight ID and this case statement, right? We can try if also. If and case are going to be the same, right? If we say the count of passengers, we just make it P, which is much more easier. P dot passenger ID is greater than f dot capacity, right? Then we just say f dot capacity. If not, we just say count of P dot passenger ID, right? So what we are doing here, we just say if the booking, like the passenger ID is the booking is greater than the capacity, then it's going to be the capacity which is the booking one. If not, we can just get the count of the booking. Okay, so this is if condition. So if I run this, it's going to throw an error. Let's run it and then I can show you. It's called booked count, right? Booked count. Okay. So since this is aggregation, we just say group by 1. So if I run it, it is going to throw an error saying that the group by class contains a non-aggregated class, because we are comparing our aggregation count of passenger ID to a non-aggregate column. In our previous videos we addressed this. So if you want to do this kind of things, we can simply take the max of, because the flights table is a single record for every flight ID, right? Flight ID is a unique identifier, so the capacity is going to be unique. So if you do max of, it's not going to change the data. Even min will give you the same answer. Now what we are doing is we are comparing an aggregation count with another aggregation of max. So now you get the answer. So the booking count is 2, 2 and 1. The same for the wait list. So what is that column called? Wait list count. Okay. So the wait list count is going to be the same. If the count of passenger ID, which is the booking, is greater than the capacity, then booking greater than capacity is, we just say the passengers capacity, how much ever is booked minus the capacity is going to be the wait list, minus is going to be wait list. If not, if the booking is less than the capacity, there is no wait list, right? Basic thing. Now we run it, 1, 0 and 1. This is what expected, right? So here 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 0, 3, 1, 1. You are getting the expected answer. So what we did, the previous one, we used a CTE table and did the aggregation and used that as a condition. Here instead of CTE table, we directly use that aggregation, and instead of a single value, we just do a dummy aggregation to match up with the passenger tables aggregation. So it works fine. So even this is a kind of a complex thing, like if and then the conditions part. There is one more option which is a better option than this, which can simplify the code. Let's comment this, and then let's use the same code for reference. Okay. So instead of if condition, I am just going to use the mysql's function, inbuilt function, least, right? Least is the minimum. So least of, we can just say whichever is the least one. Is it the capacity or the count of passengers, right? As the booking count. So booking, if the capacity is more, then the booking count is going to be the passenger ID, how much is booked. If the passenger ID is more than capacity, then you get the flight's capacity as the booking count, right? We get the least of, the minimum of that. Let's run this and see. So you get the same 2, 2 and 1 for the booking count. So for wait list, we just use greatest, which is the max. So here we just say get 0 or you get the booking minus capacity. So which is a 0, you can put at the end or the first, right? Just for the understanding, we just say better you make it 0 if the booking is less than capacity. If not, how much ever booking minus the capacity is going to be the wait list. So whichever is greatest, you bring in the number, right? You get the same answer. So we start with the CTE table for aggregation and then use that aggregation with the flights table, or we directly use the if condition and do the aggregation there. For simpler version, we use the mysql inbuilt function, the least and the greatest. So if you practice the same questions few times and understand the data, then you might come up with a better solution. Hope this video helps you, and thanks for watching.